President Trump may finally put an end to one of the most corrupt practices in Washington, D.C., insider trading. After years of failed attempts to ban Congress from trading individual stock, President Trump has found a loophole to end this blatant corruption once and for all. And it could happen in just a couple of weeks. A new proposal with massive bipartisan support has been introduced to ban congressional trading. This means no more extra money for Nancy Pelosi unless she retires. Now, Trump shared a video on Truth Social about freshman Congresswoman Anna Luna Paulina. She, along with half a dozen lawmakers from both sides of the aisle, called out fellow congressmen for getting rich off the backs of American taxpayers. Now, their claim, which we all know to be true, is that they use privileged information to game the stock market. Oh, I'm on this committee. I'm on this committee. I know of this bill coming through on chips or war or whatever. And they use it as a secret weapon to make a lot of money. Now, a little known procedural loophole that allows them to bypass congressional leadership and force a vote on the floor is going to change. This is the closest we are ever going to get to a real ban on insider trading. And according to experts, this has a real chance of passing. Now, joining me today is my good friend and trading expert, Ross Gibbons. Ross has been tracking the stock market and insider trading for many years now. Over 20 years of being a market veteran, he's been on every talking news head show you can think of. And they've got an upcoming webinar next Wednesday, the 24th at 3 o'clock Eastern, to show you exactly what they are doing with not only members of Congress, but CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, and how they are buying stocks and making lots of money. Ross, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, good to see you, Stephen.
Oh, good to have you back on. So this is pretty exciting stuff. Now,
Yeah.
You and we've talked about this before. Josh Hawley, he's been trying to do stuff. He introduced the Pelosi Act. I think everybody knows that she's become worth hundreds of millions of dollars by doing insider trading. None of the stuff that they've done to block her and others has passed. What makes this time different?
Well, what they're doing now is a very creative approach. And like you said, they're exploiting a procedural loophole that will let them force a quick vote. So if they can get half the House, so 218 signatures on their petition, they can sidestep leadership and push this straight to the floor for a vote. And this is very different from what we've seen in the past, because typically what Congress does is what Congress does when they don't want something to pass. Yeah. They bundle it up, right? They take something they don't want to pass and attach it to some toxic piece of legislation no one's going to vote for. So it's like, okay, here's this stock trading ban. Let's attach it to this bill that makes murder legal, right? So, of course, everybody votes no. And we just saw them do that last week with the Epstein files. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the way I understood it was, every headline's going, Republicans voted all against releasing it. But the truth is, Chuck Schumer attached that measure to the National Defense Authorization Act. So it's like, what do the Epstein files have to do with national defense? Well, nothing. But now that they're attached, you had to vote yes on both of them. Right. So this is the crap they've typically pulled in the past. So they can say, see, Republicans don't want to do it. But it's really nonsense. But that's the typical approach. So that's what's different about this. It would force them to vote just on this one issue.
Okay. Yeah. They call that a poison pill. I saw this a lot in the Trump first administration and then under Biden. Like you said, anytime they don't want something to go through, or they need to stuff their pork through, they'll attach the pork to something we want and then stock trading to something that we don't want. And then it never gets through. It never ends up being a single issue vote, and it doesn't go forward.
That's right. And I think there actually was one a few years ago that did get a vote. But that's when Pelosi, who is, of course, the patron saint of insider trading, she's Speaker of the House. So she's pretty much in control. And I think what she did, she called a vote on this thing at like 11 o'clock at night. I want to say it was like New Year's Eve or 2 days after Christmas or something. So nobody shows up to vote on it. But this could be very different, right? If it plays out as they're planning, members of Congress would have to stand up, cast their vote on record publicly on this one singular issue. And those who vote no, come election time, would have to explain themselves. There's nothing to hide behind. And voting no could cost them re-election, which, as you and I have talked about, is I think the only thing that could get this passed. It's really the only thing they care about.
Yeah, I've been wanting them to move to single issue bills the entire time that I've been on YouTube as a newscaster. I just think they weaponize these leadership roles and these bills against us, and voters are fed up with it, especially when it comes to insider trading, because you've got people that they're going to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And then they see, oh, Nancy Pelosi throws down 5 million, makes $1 million every 30 days. And they go, how is this legal? Like this feels like cheating. This feels completely unfair. And people get tired of it. The whole country doesn't want to support this anymore. And you've got Nancy Pelosi making some of the highest returns in history, embarrassing Warren Buffett and others to make lots of money.
Yeah, and look, they've got Trump's support on this one as well, which in this administration, nothing's going to get done without him. He was that interview in the Oval Office last month where he called out Nancy Pelosi. He said exactly what you said. She got the highest returns of anybody on Wall Street, and it's true. She does. She's been the poster child for this in D.C. She's made $300 million on suspiciously well-timed investments. And, people are always surprised, not that she's doing this, but when I tell them, you can follow her trades, right? They have to report this stuff publicly. It doesn't make it ethical, but it is a little silver lining that this is all public record. Anyone can access online every time they buy stock. So, for example, here's her trade from July. If you want to put up that trade confirmation there. This is, again, this is all public record. I'm going to show everybody how to find these in that training event. But she bought a bunch of call options on Broadcom, made a ton of money, converts those in July to 20,000 shares. So almost a $2 million buy. Steve, that was 3 months ago. The stock's already up another 50%. So she's made another 800-900 grand just in the last couple of months. But anyone can follow along with this stuff. So that's why we do those training events. I hope people sign up, click that link, and do so. I'll show them how to do all this. And again, it's not going to make it ethical, but I like to tell people, like, you're not going to get as angry about it if you made 20 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand following along, right? Yeah. And it's not just Pelosi. She's fun to poke fun at. She's the worst. But Democrats, Republicans, they've all been crushing Wall Street for years, consistently beating the best hedge fund managers in the world. Now, you've seen this before, but some of your viewers may not. These were some of the returns last year for members of Congress. I mean, look at those numbers. Wow. This is, 149% in a year. I put Buffett on there just for reference. So he made like 24, 25% last year. David Rouzer is 149. Debbie Schultz made 142%. Schultz has a degree in political science. What does she know about trading stocks? Yet she has beaten every professional hedge fund. She's outperformed Goldman Sachs and Credit Suisse and Warren Buffett and all the big names. And it's because she cheats. I sent you, if you can put that graphic up, this is a stock she bought last year. This will give you an idea of how she does so well. This is Viasat. Bought at $10 a share. Now it's a stock not a lot of people have heard of. It's not like she's buying Amazon or Google. It's Viasat. 9 months later, this stock's at 32 a share. So she's tripled her money on this stock in 9 months. Now, by what I'm sure is a total coincidence, this company just so happens to be a military contractor for the Department of Defense. It just so happens, as you know, that she sits on the House Appropriations Committee, that she's a ranking member for the subcommittee on military construction. But nothing to see here. Don't look behind the curtain, right? They treat the stock market like the personal ATM machine. And Pelosi's the most famous, but she's not alone. There are Debbie Schultzes all over the DC swamp.
That is crazy to me. Like I want to dig in on each of these names and what committee they sit on, because like you showed, Warren Buffett, 25%. I mean, that's like insane compared to parking your money at a bank.
That's a great year. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see somebody that makes Warren Buffett look like a kindergartner. I mean, and like you said, like these people don't have experience in this. It's not what they went to school. It's not what their pre-Congress career was, and yet they can get triple-digit returns.
Yeah, and it's not just one or two. I mean, there's 10, 12, 15 of these guys that beat Buffett, that beat the market. There's half a dozen of them made triple-digit returns, like buying stocks from their cell phone in between meetings. Like it just doesn't happen.
And then they don't really report this stuff. So, okay. So we've had the Pelosi Act come, it didn't really get the support going forward. Now we've got this single opportunity. Your thoughts, is this actually going to pass?
Listen, I mean, anything's possible. I don't want to sound cynical because, listen, far crazier things have happened this year. But if it's me, if I'm a betting man, I'm not going to bet on it. You know, you've got these lawmakers making millions of dollars trading the very companies they're regulating. They're not going to go out of their way to cut off their gravy train. Even if this bill did pass, you know, it's not going to affect what we do all that much. I mean, because as you pointed out, we don't just follow the political insiders. You can also see when a CEO is buying, the CFO, all the corporate guys, right? And that's where a lot of our big wins have come from.
And those guys, you don't have to wait months, and then they try to hide it from Congress and then pay a $150 fine. Like with these C-level executives, don't they have to report within like a day or two?
That's right. Yes, 2 days. So they've got, Congress gets like 30 days to report. And as you pointed out, if they fail to report it, it's a $200 fine, which is insanity. But CEOs and the C-suite, they get 2 days, and most of them do it the very same day. So like when the CEO of, some little pharmaceutical stock is putting millions into his company, we know the next day. We can see when the CFO is buying too, and half the board, and the chief medical officer, and the VPs, and the general counsel. And so, like, when you see that, and it's really obvious. When you guys come on Wednesday, you'll see none of this is complicated. But like when you've got all these top executives putting hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into their own company with their own money in all the same time, especially when it's like for the first time in years, you got to ask why they're doing that. Right. And so oftentimes these will lead to big moves. They're not random actions. These are high conviction trades they're making with their own money all at once. And, out of 8,000 publicly traded stocks, we're only looking for the 3 or 4 or 5. It's like there's 15 guys over there buying. Oh, what do you know? The market's waiting on the results of those drug trials. They're all buying for the first time in 6 years. The C-suite put twice their annual salary. It's like, it really is pretty obvious. You just have to know where to look and find this stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's really interesting is like a lot of times these members of Congress, they'll buy based on pre-knowledge of government dumping a bunch of money. But these CEOs, CFOs, they're putting their own hard-earned money into something because they go to their business meetings, these boardroom meetings. They know when something big is about to pop. They're not going to suddenly buy 1 million shares of their stock because they think the company is going to go under.
That's right. And I kind of say, like, look, Congress has generalized news, right? Like they know they're going to pass a piece of legislation that gives billions to this industry, and they take advantage. Pelosi did it. They got into NVIDIA, made millions of dollars. They know they're going to give a big defense contract over here, and they'll buy those little stocks up, et cetera. But the C-suite, the corporate guys know their company inside and out. And that's the only stock they're trading. So you've got people with privileged information who know it inside and out, who know when they're negotiating a buyout, about to report big earnings, have an AI breakthrough, any piece of news. And on top of that, these are, seasoned market professionals. Like if you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you know a thing or two about the stock market and economics, right? Some of these congressmen are former bartenders. I mean, they don't all know stuff, but these C-suite guys, most of them are pretty sharp men and women. And so when you look at, and we've done big studies on this, when you look at the trading returns of corporate insiders versus the general market, they slaughter it. I mean, absolutely murder. They make Congress look like the kiddie table. So you can make money following the congressional trades. I encourage people to do it. We'll show them how to do it. But the corporate guys have an even bigger edge. You can see those trades even faster. And the bulk of our big wins have come from that. I mean, we've recommended stocks. I mentioned pharmaceuticals. We've recommended stocks that have gone up over 1,900%. We got into one earlier this year that like quadrupled in 4 months just following these trades. So I encourage people to come see how to do this. It's a free event. We do these every couple of months. We just think it's a huge advantage you have as an individual trader, and anyone who's not taking advantage of this, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, and it's not like we watched the CEO of Viastat, that company you gave an example of, and he just bought 1,000 shares of Apple. Like, he doesn't know anything about Apple.
Exactly.
Or he bought 1,000 shares of the S&P 500. We don't care. Why did he just buy 100,000 shares of his own pharmaceutical company or his own military weapon company? Like, they know they have hyper inside information.
Yes.
And so when your indicators are seeing that, you got like your bells and whistles are going off.
Exactly right. Yeah. And you know, there's very simple things you can filter for. So like I mentioned this, if you've got someone who's worked there for 4 or 5 years, never bought, and then suddenly they bought 4 times in a month, or you get one guy buying, that's good. 2, 8, 9, 10 buying in the same week, like that seems odd. If you got a guy who makes, and you can pull up their employment contracts, like everything's public record. If you got a guy who makes 300, 400 grand a year, and he just put 900,000 into his company stock, that's a pretty big bet, right? And so it's big relative to him. So all this stuff, when you put it together, you know, you don't need to be any kind of market veteran or have a master's degree in financial modeling. Like, if you have common sense, you can do this stuff. Most people just don't know where to find it or how to filter it or what to look for. So that's what we show them. But look, we've been doing this, we've been doing this with our members since 2017. We've never had a losing year. We've beat the market every single year. Our stock portfolio since 2017 is up over 2,000%. And that is not a reflection of me being any level of genius. It's a reflection of these people know more. They take advantage of that information. You can follow along. So, well, they say, if you can't beat them, join them. Don't get angry about it. Follow along. I mean, when it comes to Congress, like, you're paying their salary. The least they could do is give you their stock tips.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I like that. I like the being able to follow what these are the heads of companies, and you get to see when all of a sudden they buy. Okay, so the event is this coming Wednesday at 3:00 Eastern. They sign up, they put their email in, and you guys will remind them.
We'll handle the
that.
rest. So it is Wednesday, September 24th, 3 Eastern. Is online. Anybody can come. Just click the link below the video, put in your email. We'll send you all the information. If you put your cell number in there, we'll also text you a reminder about 15 minutes before we get started so you don't miss it. And we are also, I forgot to mention, we are also sending out our most recent trade research, so the report on the stock we just recommended, to everyone who registers. So even if you cannot attend live, I encourage you to put your email. We'll send that to you immediately. You can see what's available to you. You'll get all of our research, and we can also send you the recording after the event if you want to watch it later. So people should, again, just email, phone number. We'll send you everything.
And those reports are incredibly detailed. Well, very cool. Hopefully this will pass. I get sick and tired of watching Nancy Pelosi, plunk down another 5 million and making $1 million. It's just, it's something
more like
about
plunking down 1 and making 5.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much. I'll put that link down below. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Good to see you, Stephen.